for listening, for watching, however you consume Talking Buffalo. Appreciate you guys very much. Shout out to our sponsors, Sunny Reds, 1841 Abbott Road. Also, Imperial Pizza, 1035 Abbott Road in South Buffalo. Also, 1965 Main Street near Canisius College. All right, this is our Monday podcast, which means on the video side, we are live here shortly after 9 p.m. on a Sunday night. Happy Father's Day to everybody out there who's watching the show right now, including co-host for tonight, man. Father's Day, Joe from Queens. I see that you were at a baseball game today to ring in Father's Day. How you doing, man?
Yeah, we went to Citi Field today for the Mets, Tampa Bay. The Mets got obliterated 9-0. Yeah, I mean, look, I like the Mets. Like, they're fine. Like, I'm not like a giant, like, oh my God, I'm going to die if I don't see them kind of guy. But, you know, I would say they're my official team. But like, like I'm not as big a fan like you are probably of the Yankees or whatever. But yeah, so I didn't really care, to be honest with you, if they lost or not. But it was fun, good food. You know, thanks to my wife.
Was your boy's first game too? I think I saw that on one of your IG stories.
It was his first game. Yeah, my wife planned the whole thing. Always she hit it out of the park today. So it was.
Well, the Mets didn't.
The Nets did not. No, we saw like they had one opportunity. We had like the bases loaded and with like 2 outs with I think Pete Alonso was on and he didn't do shit. And that was like the closest they had. I think they had 3 hits. I don't think we saw any of the hits because we didn't get to our seats till like the second or third inning. Because like that. Have you been to that stadium before?
Nope.
It's great. Yeah, it's awesome. Like it's such a great stadium. Like they have a concourse. Like you don't even have to go to your seats, to be honest with you. Like sometimes you can watch the games from like high above, like the 100s, where you're at the top and you can look down and just there's like a bar there, kind of like you just hang out there and put your beer there. But yeah, it was good. It's fun times.
All right, so we're gonna spend some time today. So the Bills signed Shaq Thompson, a linebacker from Carolina, of course, last week, and it got you thinking, and I thought it was a good idea too to kind of like explore the long, not storied, mostly lousy pipeline between the Buffalo Bills and the Carolina Panthers since Sean McDermott came to Buffalo in 2017, and Brandon Beane, of course, not that long after him. So we're gonna take a dive into that. James Cook not only reported to minicamp last week, but was a full participant in all 3 days and said that he will be there for training camp. So that was actually eventful news to come out of Highmark Stadium and Bills minicamp. We'll hit on that. I wanted to try to figure out who the third best Bills quarterback, I put this on Twitter last week, third best Bills quarterback in history is after Josh Allen or Jim Kelly, however you want to put them. The first 2 are cut and dry. Third one, maybe not. So anyway, we'll hit on that a little bit. We do our Mount Flushmore. I got a little bit of a true and false segment too. So lots of stuff here coming up today. Let me start by, I got to say this. So I went to Batavia today, dude.
Here we go.
Take a shot. No, I'm not going to get into a wing review, although I'd like to. I'm not going to do that.
You just did a wing review, right? Who was the guy on your podcast from? I'm sorry, I don't mean to take away your heat.
Go ahead.
Who was the guy on you did the 100 wings of Buffalo, and there was some dude in your house. I saw like a video. I had no clue who that dude was.
It was Tommy Seifert, who's part of the Buffalo Wing Coalition.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah. Dude, I'll tell you what, that is that website is really, really good. If you're a Wing fan, it's really good. They have way more reviews than I do. They have a pyramid of tiers of wings. They also have useful information. Like say you and your wife, you say you lived in this area, you want to go out on a Thursday night for wings. But you want to save some money too. You want to know, well, where's their wing specials on Thursday nights? You go to that site, you'll click in lunch or night specials, you click in Thursday, and it populates all the places, how much the wings are, what special they got. So a lot of useful stuff. Hey, we can bust balls about wings, but there are a lot of people who do take that shit real serious. So
people are insane, but yeah, go ahead. Sure, insane.
Anyway, so I went to Batavia today. I had to meet up with a guy, Matt Warren, our boy from over at SB Nation. Had to get him some podcasting things. Anyway, I got to call out my guy, Sal Capaccio. I got to do this. I have to say this right away. I have to say this, man. Sal is a sports guy, life guy, a lot of great takes, okay? His pizza takes, he recommended, I wanted to go since I was in Batavia. I'm like, I'm going to stop and get some wings somewhere, and I'm also want to try a slice of pizza. Again, I never get to Batavia. I picked a place. Well, I put it on Twitter. I ended up picking a place. I'm not going to say what the place is here. It's you could read on my website about it. I put up a review or whatever. But anyway, Sal goes, I can't speak about the wings, but the pizza's great. No, it wasn't. The pizza sucked. It was bad. So, Sal, you're a sports guy, but boy, life guy, but your pizza takes are as bad as Josh Allen's because that was not really good pizza. The wings were okay. They were big. Could have been cooked better. But anyway, pizza, not good at all. So, got to throw it out there. Are you
fantastic opening? Fantastic opening. My God. I mean, if we still have 5 people listening still, like, geez, thank you to all those listeners. Yes.
Well,
very sorry.
Everybody who's sticking around for this.
Yes. Sorry for your mishap in Batavia and listening to Sal talk pizza. I would assume Sal would have good pizza takes, but again, I don't think your takes are very good either for pizza food or anything.
Yeah,
so
maybe you know what? Maybe the pizza's good and my take sucks, and that it's actually good.
Look, it's a Sunday. Like they probably thought it was going to be dead because it's Father's Day. Like I don't know, are fathers going to get pizza on Father's Day and order pizza? I don't know. Maybe they had like a rookie chef or whatever in the thing. So, but anyway, hey, Michael Parthen's everyone in the chat. Michael Parthen's in the house. We got the Tooch. Hill Slayer too. Ralph Wilson's probably coming in at some point from hell. I mean heaven. That's where he's at.
I love the regulars on this who tune in when we do our live shows, man. It's really cool. Anyway, let's dive in. Let's actually start with this Bills Carolina thing. So, like I said, the Bills signed a linebacker, Shaq Thompson, this past week. First move they made a linebacker like pretty much this entire offseason. That's kind of a different story here, but it was again.
When was the last time real quick? I'm sorry to interrupt. When was the last time they did sign like a linebacker in the offseason? It feels like they've always keep rolling like with the same. Like it's always been Bernard, it's been Milano. I can't remember like a free agent. Maybe I'm wrong. And then there's like someone like 3 years ago.
But it's the same type of free agent they seem to sign every year, like a Shaq Thompson, somebody who's really long in the tooth, who's been around for a long time. Last year they signed Nick Morrow, the linebacker from Philly. And he didn't work out at all. Oh God,
I didn't remember him. But sure, okay. So he could be that, but it doesn't feel like. It always feels like Balin Spector's been the backup forever. It feels like, and like they kind of just like this is what we're rolling with, and it's always going to be Milano and Tremaine and now Bernard. But go ahead.
It always feels like there's a Bills-Carolina connection. Obviously, a couple of years ago, it felt so much more prevalent than it does now, but it still lingers, and the Bills are still signing guys from Carolina, even though at this point, it ain't really got anything to do with Sean and Brandon Beane, although there's still coaches that they keep in contact with there. I'm sure they talk to them, maybe get the 4-1-1 on some players. But anyway, I started doing, you sent a link to me, and I was doing the research, and I found 19 guys. And what?
The research, yes. Go ahead.
Yeah, I did do the research.
Yeah, okay, sure.
I
sent you a link, and it told you all the players that played for Carolina and the Bills. It was like literally right there. You did the research. Okay, yeah.
The years were varied all over the place. There were a lot of guys who don't make the list. Like, I don't want to talk about fucking Pete Metzelaars and
we should have talked about that. We should talk about those guys. Those that are entertaining. I mean, were any of these guys good for any of the teams? Like, I think Blackshear is the only Carolina Buffalo connection that's been good, on the field. It feels like, but I digress. But go ahead.
19 players who played with the Panthers while Sean McDermott was with Carolina before coming to Buffalo. There's 19 of them. I'm going to run them off. First, I'll run them off. And a lot of stuff, I'm going to be honest with you, man. I like to fancy myself somewhat of a football guy, and there's a handful of these names that I don't even know. I don't remember, like, literally whatsoever. But I'm going to run them off, and then we'll talk about some of them. What were you going to say?
Yeah, before you get into the list, I mean, I want to say this, like, before we get into it, like, look, the Panthers Bills connection, it's always been kind of us laughing at it. I mean, it's been that way since 2017. They brought in all these guys, and we're going to go through that. It is common for teams, like, I always remember, like, the Parcells guys. Like, that used to be like the phrase when Parcells would go from team to team. He'd bring people. He'd bring, Brian. You can remember them, like Pepper Johnson, Brian Cox, Terry Glenn, and like all these guys. He just brought all over. Like, it's like I said, Parcells guys. Even Belichick a little bit, had that at times, like with bringing guys in the beginning. Like when he got to New England, he would bring his guys over, and it's very like common. It's common for guys to do that, and I think it's probably a way more here than it is even for those years there, because like I felt they were more successful when like you had Parcells guys, like those guys were good. Where this list is kind of, we'll get into it, but like it is common, but you at least like to get a hit or two in there.
That's what I was going to say. You're not wrong. It is semi-common to have these kind of connections.
Sure,
but what's not common is to have 19 guys, and I would say, and we're going to talk about a few of them, there's not one guy out of these 19 that was anything more than average. Average is as good as it gets with this entire pipeline going from 2017 through now of former Carolina Panthers who have come to Buffalo. And that's the criteria. Like, not Bills players going to Carolina. It's Carolina coming to Buffalo. Let me read off these 19 again. And these are guys who did play while Sean McDermott was in Carolina. Of course, as coordinator, not, as head coach like he is now with Buffalo. Star Lotulelei. I'm reading these in order, and then we'll go through some of these. Star Lotulelei, Daryl Williams, Mario Addison, Vernon Butler. Yeah, you better put a thumb down real quick if you're watching this on the video.
Well, for Mario Addison, I will get to him. I thought he was this, but Butler definitely no.
All right, so Mario Addison, Vernon Butler, Kelvin Benjamin, AJ Klein, Dean Marlowe, Josh Norman, Mike Tolbert. That was the slowest running back in NFL history.
Terrible.
Derek Anderson, Daryl Worley, Kalen Clay, Ryan Davis, Philly Brown.
Philly Brown?
Yeah. Leonard Johnson, Joe Webb, LJ McCray, Robert Thomas, and now recently Shaq Thompson.
Did you say Daryl Williams?
I did say Daryl Williams.
Okay,
yes.
sorry. He was a thumbs. I would give him a little thumbs up.
Sort of a thumbs up. Ralph Wilson Sr. in the live chat said Dan Morgan is now president of Football Ops at Carolina. Yes, he is. So anyway, I just ran off 19 guys. There's also 5 guys that we'll get to who spent at least 2 years with the Panthers after Sean McDermott and ended up with Buffalo. We'll get to them because the list is no better either. But 19 guys, and like I said, the best I think you can reasonably make a case is for one of these guys or 2 of these guys that they were okay. Let's start with, I'll kind of go random here. Let's start with Kelvin Benjamin. Now, a couple guys that I know we want to talk about specifically here. So Kelvin Benjamin we'll start with. The Bills obviously traded for him, trying to get that offense going. It was 2017, right? Yeah, it was 2017.
Yeah, 2017. They were.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anyway, his 16 starts for the Bills. He had 16 starts over 2 years, 39 catches for 571 yards and 2 touchdowns over parts of 2 years with the Bills combined. And he was out of the league for good by the end of 2018. He went to Kansas City, finished out 2018, and never played in the NFL again. So let's start there. And that's probably the most famous or infamous one and talked about one here. Thoughts, Kelvin Benjamin.
It's crazy how bad he was here and how good he was in Carolina. Like, he was a guy, from what I remember, like, he had a knee injury that he like wiped him out. I think the Super Bowl year he was gone. He wasn't there when they went to the Super Bowl against the Broncos. But then he still had like 1,000 yards, like almost every year. I feel like he was solid. And I remember that season they got him in 2017, and that was a season when it's McDermott's rookie year. I remember thinking this was going to be a rebuild year with Tyrod and they were just waiting. They were just going to play out the strings, and they were kind of doing a self tank and blah blah blah. They traded some guys, and then they got off to the fast start. What I think they were 5-2, and then they traded for him. So it was like, great. Here's a guy that can keep on. Comes here, doesn't really do anything. The one play I remember, like his first year here was he caught that touchdown from Peterman in that terrible snow game against the Colts.
Funny, good time.
And then
Ralph Wilson just literally put that on the screen. Yeah, didn't Benjamin shine in the Colts game?
He did shine. He caught that one cat, and then I remember in the playoff game when the Bills had the ball like at the 1 yard line, Tyrod audibled to do a fade pass to freaking Kelvin, and Benjamin pushed off. And they called offensive pass interference, and then they ended up getting a field goal, and that was the only points the Bills scored. And like it was kind of like I felt at that time, like when the season ended, it's like, okay, he wasn't great, but the same shit you always hear. Well, he got a new system, or Tyrod wasn't as good, or whatever, all that crap. And the next year, I remember in the preseason, he was awesome in the preseason. He killed it. Like him and Nate Peterman were awesome. That's why preseason doesn't mean shit, and you shouldn't fall in love with it, and don't listen to any of the Bills beat bros who try to get content and eyes on their crap. It was, and then what? The season started. He was terrible. He didn't do anything, and then they cut him, and that was it. I just went over his career. Like there's nothing else to talk about except he didn't want to warm up when he played Josh Allen. That was the other thing I was missing. He didn't want to warm up with Josh Allen, and that kind of, and then like some reporter heard that on the sidelines. I think it was the girl from Rochester that does it with Fan Ventus. The podcast. Yes, that's her.
Jenna.
Yeah, she heard that. So yeah, and it was terrible. And the last thing too about him, I did give Kelvin Benjamin a high five when I was at the airport to greet the Bills after they clinched the playoff berth. He was hanging out of his car, and I gave him high five. It was kind of cool. So it was like that. That was it. So it was like Dylan, you son of a bitch handshake while he was in the car. It was great. But that's it. That's his career.
Let's backtrack here. You went to the airport after the Bills clinched the division. So you're talking about the Miami game when they went down to Miami, won and made the playoffs?
Yes, when they clinched the playoffs.
Wasn't it late too?
Yeah, that was when Baltimore, like the Bengals, Dalton to whatever the fuck that wide receiver's name is.
That was New Year's
Boyd.
Eve.
That was New Year's Eve. We went to me and my friend, me and my cousin, and one of my groomsmen. We went to what's that one place? Morpat. We went to in Williamsville, and we were like sitting there drinking, celebrating. We were thrilled, and we're like, you know what? Let's go. Me and my friend Ron were like, we're going to the freaking airport. Let's go. And we went to the airport. That's why I told this story before. That's why I went into a window kind of, because it was like it was crowded as hell. Everyone was there. There's a line to get out in the private aviation, and that's when I freaking was like, I want to see who was in a car, and I like looked in the car, and it was Russ Brandon, and like he saw me, and we shook hands, which was like I think the ghost of Christmas past. Like it was out of body experience because I didn't know who I was. I just wanted to shake someone's hand in the car, and I went into the car window, and all of a sudden it's fucking Russ Brandon, the guy who I cannot stand. So, but yeah, we were there. It was fun.
Cool.
Good times.
That's cool.
Good times. That's the only time I will. Yeah. So that was the only time I went to the airport. It's like I can't make fun of fans too much for going to the airport, even though I think that trend has kind of died down recently. Am I wrong? Like no one's really doing the airport thing anymore.
Yeah, well, it's died down. People are, but it's not as prevalent as it was. And I will say this: when you break a drought after 17 years,
yes,
that's worthy. That's airport worthy. Some shit that the Bills fans have done is not really airport worthy. I don't think anyway, especially after it's like been there, done that. But in that moment, that occasion, that was definitely airport worthy. All right, next guy I want to talk about briefly here, Star Lotulelei. He played with the Bills for 3 years. I think he was okay. I got a funny thing when it comes to him, too. By the way, 5-year, $50 million contract he signed with the Bills. So he was a big-ticket free agent. He ended up making about $31 million during that time with the Bills. Of course, he sat out the COVID year, chose not to play. Here's what I think of Star Lotulelei. I think of Joe from Queens and his beef with the film bros and the content bros. He's the poster of what you talk about. Like his stats absolutely suck. However, there are people out there that could paint pictures with film and analysis that would say, well, Star Lotulelei is a hell of a lot better than his numbers ever indicated. So when you go back and forth and you're beefing with the film bros, this is the kind of guy that it's usually over. Somebody like him whose numbers are, statistically sacks, forced fumbles, tackles for loss, things like that, garbage. but he's a kind of run clogging, big ass defensive tackle. Am I wrong about saying that though? Like he's the kind of guy
you are wrong. You are
like him. How am I wrong?
You're wrong because you're the one that would go after the film bros about Star. You're putting the heat on me. I understand.
Yeah, 100%.
You did. So don't say. I understand. Like the film bros liked him, and they could watch the film. He could seal the edge. I get it. He's a fat guy that's going to open up like for the linebackers to play. I didn't think he was all that great. He didn't play that much. I thought he was good in 2019, if I remember correctly, like solid, but like he wasn't worth the money they paid for. But he did what they wanted him to do, which was be a fat guy and do nothing. He was
good. Alex Maurer in the live chat pointed out he was pretty good. I did think he was pretty good his first year. I just got to a point where I thought it was useless. And you're not wrong. I was going at it with a lot of the Cover One guys constantly about the whole Star Lotulelei shit, trying to point out to me that he's good. I'm like, he's not doing anything. He's not making any plays. He's not doing anything. He was not good. He was good for his first year. And then after that, he was
whatever. He wasn't worth the money. I mean, he wasn't like it was one of their 87 defensive linemen they wanted to sign, and he's the highest paid Carolina guy. Basically, I mean, they gave him a lot of money because we'll go through this list like we're going through, and like some guys are just depth guys, which is like, whatever. But like him and Kelvin Benjamin were supposed to be hits, and Benjamin was definitely not a hit, and this guy was
not mid. $10 million a year. He was mid by a 5th round pick rookie standards. By $10 million a year standards, he was trash.
Yeah, he
not trash. Trash might be a little strong.
Yeah, he was just there. Like I said, and then, I don't know. It was just whatever. I mean, he was there 2018, 19, 20. He didn't play because of COVID. Then he came back in 2021, and then he was gone. So, he was there for 3 seasons, and that's it, So,
all right, so Mario Addison, he played 2 years with the Bills, 5 sacks, 1 year, 7 sacks. The other year, like a lot of defensive linemen over the last, during this run, the Sean McDermott era, he's disappeared in the playoffs. He only had 1 sack in 5 career playoff games with the Bills. So there's that. He signed for 3 years, $10.1 million per. I think he had 3 straight seasons of at least 9 sacks with Carolina before coming to Buffalo, and did not do that with the Bills. Like I said, 5-7. You kind of said it earlier. You were doing this. He's okay, but again,
Addison, I mean, I thought he had the one good year where he had some sacks, but sadly, he might be their best Carolina guy that they've signed. You know what I mean? Like I didn't mind him. I mean, I thought he was really solid his first year here. I mean, the sacks total will tell you that. It's just crazy. Like you said it. He had like 3. Thinking of like the Trent Murphys of the world, like going back to even that getting him, and he had like 10 sacks in each of his years in Washington. He comes here, he's got like 2 for his career here, and it's just like defensive linemen come to Buffalo where the sacks don't exist because no one eats on the defensive line when it comes to sacks.
It's like nobody eats. Yeah, it's the opposite of the offense here. I'll say this, and I think you're right, by the way. Sadly, I think Mario Addison of all these guys was the best acquisition that they made. And he wasn't terrible. He was A.J. Epinesa before A.J. Epinesa was a Buffalo Bill, basically, is what I think Mario Addison was with the Bills. Okay. At times, some splash here and there, but none special. Again, 5 sacks, 7 sacks, so 12 sacks in 2 seasons with the Bills, 1 in 5 playoff games. Vernon Butler, this was a big-time flop. 2 years, total bust with the Bills. He had 6 sacks. The year before free agency, he had 6 sacks in his last season with Carolina. He came to the Bills. He played 2 seasons, parts of 2 seasons, 0 sacks. He never had a sack with the Bills. 2-year contract, $7.5 million. He made almost $13 million of that, too, as well. So this was a pretty significant investment from the Bills that was just an absolute flop.
He was a former first rounder too, right? For Carolina, yes. I think he was. Yeah, so he was a bit of a bust. He wasn't again part of their 17 defensive line rotation, and wasn't that good.
Nothing special. AJ Klein, 30
That's
games.
Your boy.
Feels like he was a Buffalo Bill. He feels like he was a Bill for 9 years, but 30 games with the Bills in parts of 4 years. Again, for what he was supposed to be, I guess fine. The problem with AJ Klein is he should be a guy who was playing special teams and not being on the field a lot. That was what it should have been, but it always felt like AJ Klein ended up on the field in critical moments.
Yeah.
We'll never forget the 2023 divisional round playoff loss to the Chiefs where holy sore thumbs, Batman. I mean, that was just blatantly obvious. He didn't belong out there. But what else are you going to do? Because Sean was not going to play rookie Dorian Williams in that game. He just wasn't going to do it.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say this about Klein. Like, he played when he got signed in 2020, it was before the Bills had put Taron Johnson on the field with, like, as being that that third linebacker position. In 2020, Klein was supposed to replace Lorenzo Alexander. And if you remember that season, he was horrible out of the chute. Horrible in 20. Like, he was starting. So, like, I disagree a little bit when it comes to, he was what he was supposed to be. When they first got him, he was starting, and he was awful. And then he, like, kind of picked it up at the end. I kind of remember, because I remember on Twitter we were all, like, joking, like, bullying works, because he was just a nightmare. But then subsequently, like, he started, that's when they were still doing, like, the three linebackers, and, like, they phased him out, and they just were like, hey, we're going to have 5 defensive backs in there. But that's how his 2020 was. I just remember, like, the guy was just awful when he got in there. Like, because that's, I don't know how many years did he start? I know, was it just 2020 he started, or?
Well, I don't know how many years he started. Well, I know, like I said, I know he started the 2023 divisional round playoff game against the Chiefs. I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
That was one of the worst performances individually I think I've ever seen.
You got in a
playoff game.
You got into a fight with the film bros at that point. Over there because you wanted because he wanted someone to ask, and like no one, they were all like, leave him alone. But
it wasn't even just the film bros, it was the content bros too, because I wanted somebody to ask why Sean McDermott would not go to him until it was like too late. And they were just saying he's not ready yet, he's this and that, not working at the mic, this and that. I was like, he cannot have been worse. I still feel this way 2 years later. It was not possible for Dorian Williams, no matter how clueless he was, allegedly at the time, to be worse than what AJ Klein was. Like I said, that might have been the worst game I've ever seen a Buffalo Bill play in my life for a playoff game. Anyway.
So just real quick with Klein, he started 11 games in 2020. And then in 2021, he started 4 games. So that's when they kind of like were phasing him out a little bit, because that's when they put the extra defensive back in.
Yeah.
Just FYI. But he wasn't good. Like, he wasn't. Look, he was. I remember it in 2020. It was not. He was a Twitter bitch, and in terms of everyone was just very angry at him every day in 2020. So
let's get to Actually, we said that Addison might have been the best Bill acquisition in this whole pipeline. Maybe it was Darrell Williams, though, too. Darrell Williams was here. He's a 2-year contract. He did make around $13 million, and he was pretty good on the offensive line his first year. And then he really struggled in his second year, and then he was gone. Spencer Braun, I believe, took over at that point, I believe. But anyway,
he was
okay.
He was a one-hit wonder here. I mean, and that hit was not, like, a lot. He was solid, but then he fell off a cliff. Like, they gave him a new extension, and then they cut him after 1 year after the extension. Yeah. So, he was okay. Like, he was 2020. He came in there, and then he started it, and then that was it.
The fact that we're talking about either Mario Addison or Darrell Williams probably being their best value-wise pickup over the course of 7-8 years now. Speaks a lot about how lousy this pipeline has just been. And look, the Bills are a good team. They've withstood these bad signings for many reasons. They got a lot of good players. They got a great quarterback, all that. But this Bills-Carolina connection, it just hasn't worked. The last name that I think a lot of people know on that list is Dean Marlowe. 30 games over 3 years. I think he was all right for what he was supposed to be. You know what I mean? A depth-type safety. He did have a key interception that playoff game against Miami when they won 34-31. He had a big interception in that game. But, yeah, dude, outside of that, it was like, all right, well, he's fine, right? I mean, what do you really add to that? He was okay, fine.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I could look this up now while you're blabbing. Like, how many people did Andy Reid bring from, like, 'cause I'm trying to think of, like, recycled coaches who got fired or, like, left, and he's just someone I could think of. Like, the Chiefs have a lot of former Eagles when he first got there. I'm trying to remember, and he brought McCoy back after he got cut in 2019, but that was like, he was there for already 6 years. I'm trying to remember who they have there. And if anyone remembers, anyone in the comments section, please put that in there. But, obviously it's just like, you can't deny that the Bills they've gone to this well a lot,
Yeah, a lot. 19 times to be exact. Just 19 times with that criteria. Again, these are players that Sean McDermott, they played for Carolina when he was there, and they came after. Real quick here, too. There's 5 other guys who spent at least 2 years with the Panthers after Sean McDermott came to Buffalo, and then they ended up with the Bills after. Greg Van Roten, Andre Smith, linebacker, I completely forgot he existed. Kyle Allen, quarterback. Brian Cox Jr., and then the last name, he's got a chance to redeem himself this year. But Curtis Samuel. Now, Curtis Samuel is the 5th guy. He did not have a great season last year. Came out a little bit near the end. We'll see how that plays out. Before we go to break, though, and wrap up with this Carolina thing, a quick question for you. 19 guys we ran off and discussed some of them. Are you surprised?
We forgot to talk about Mike Tolbert. We got to talk about him, like, just real quick. He was terrible, Mike Tolbert. We forgot about him. Like, he was awful. I just remember 2017. It was McCoy and Tolbert was the backup. Like, I don't even know who else was on the roster for running backs. And whenever LaShawn McCoy took a breather for a drive, I was like, oh God, I'm like, it's going to be a disaster. And it was always a disaster. He was the biggest runner who had no physicality whatsoever. Like, it'd be 3rd and 1 and he'd be like, phew, he would fall. Like, he was definitely, I remember 2017 being on Bill's Twitter and being like, oh my God, this dude is horrible. And just anytime like McCoy probably like lost 2 years of his life, from playing so much that season because he had to carry the offense and the running game on there.
Yeah, by the way, shout out Michael Partham over at Trainwreck. By the way, I ran into him. We hung out a little bit Thursday night at Wayland Brewery for that WGR event. It was pretty cool seeing
I met him before.
Those guys.
I got him a shot when Russ Brandon got fired. I was at New York Beer Project. And I think I put on Twitter, like, hey, whoever wants a shot, who wants to have a celebratory shot, come to New York City Beer Project, and he came and we had a shot, and I was like, yeah,
that's cool. Anyway, he pointed out to your question earlier, LaShawn McCoy and Jeremy Maclin played for Reed and Philly and went to Kansas City. What I wanted to ask you before we get to a break here, 19 former Panthers under that criteria. Are you surprised, because I am, that number 20 was never Cam Newton? I thought for sure Cam Newton was going to be a Buffalo Bill at some point, man.
You are such a dick about Cam Newton. He is not Scam Newton. Even though I think of him as ruining Brandon Beane's brain, because Brandon Beane's like, we don't need wide receivers. We're fine. Defensive line. Look what Cam Newton did for us. Whatever. Anyways, I think part of it, if you remember in Ty Dunn's piece, he kind of had in that manifesto that McDermott was not a huge Cam Newton fan. Yeah. So, and it's stupid. It's like, how are you not a fan of him when you were playing there? He was great there. I know you hated him because he wore hats that you didn't like, and he probably hated wings. Am I surprised? Yeah, slightly, I guess. God, I'm trying to think, like, those Panthers teams, during that time frame, like, they were kind of up and down. Like, I'm talking like the McDermott Panthers, like with Ron Rivera. They only, I think, maybe the playoffs like 2 or 3 times during that whole time frame. It was kind of like, and I'm just trying to think, like, what player would I have loved to have on this team during that time frame? And it's like, what? Julius Peppers, Greg Hardy.
If Luke Kuechly never got hurt, he would have been a Buffalo Bill at some point. I can almost guarantee that. He would have definitely been a Bill at some point.
We also forgot real quick Josh Norman. I mean, he was supposed to be a big part of that. Like, he was supposed to be the number 2 cornerback. Like, that's what they were touting him at. And the only thing I will remember is, Derrick Henry killing him with that stiff arm.
Yep.
Him doing a fundraiser where he was trying to get people to donate money to the inner city, and no one donated, which was freaking weird and dumb. And he was begging people to do it every day on Twitter, it felt like. That's it. And then he came back like a couple years later, where I don't know if he even played. I forgot. But like he was supposed to.
He did special teams work with the
yeah.
Bills. In his
But he was supposed to be like their second corner. Like no doubts. He was supposed to be him and Trey White.
Agreed. Yeah. So to put a wrap on. Predictably, I mean, it's not like we're throwing, a major curveball at people. Most people knew this anyway. But yeah, that Bills-Panthers pipeline, the history of it with Sean McDermott is absolutely not good. Anyway, quick break, come back. On the video side, we'll be back like about 5 seconds. All right, I am back here with Joe from Queens. Want to let everybody know, Nickel City Comic-Con is coming to Buffalo at the Convention Center June 27th through 29th. Single day passes, all day 3 passes, deluxe passes, VIP speed, all that stuff. It is still available. If you're seeking autographs, Ric Flair, a lot of wrestlers, man. Ric Flair, the Hardy Boys, Trish and Lita, Carlito, Hacksaw, Jim Duggan, the APA, both of them. Tugboat. Going to be in the house. Some kind of like I'd say C-list celebrities, maybe Danny Trejo, crazy-ass Randy Quaid, Beverly D'Angelo from National Lampoon's Vacation. By the way, she looks amazing for 60 or 73 years old, dude. The girls from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Napoleon Dynamite, Bam Margera, a bunch of other celebrities are going to be there. You can go to nickelcitycon.com for tickets. Have you ever been to real quick here? You ever been to a Comic-Con? I went to my first one last year, and I'm telling you, it's not usually my type of thing, but it was fun, man. It was great. If nothing else, elite people watching.
Yeah, I've never been to one, but I've always wanted to go to one. The New York City one's supposed to be pretty big. It's usually in October at Javits Center, and then there's Comic-Con, which I've always wanted to go to. But no, I've never really gone to it. I'm not a big autograph person.
Me neither. I hate them.
I wanted to go, a couple of friends of mine are going to the Fanatics one next week. I think it's next weekend at Javits Center. And that's like every single sports person. I don't know if you've kept up on who's going there, but the Fanatics one, every little sports person is going there, and they do live podcasts there, and then like interviews, and people just hang out. So that sounds fun. But I've wanted to go to that one. But the Nickel City one sounds good. If you were an
autograph person, or if you were interested in one, I'll run them off again. You could pick one wrestler, because these costs, by the way, when you go to these Comic-Cons, you pay a ticket to get in, and that includes like walking around all the vendors. Again, a lot of people are dressed up. It is a fun people-watching time. But if you want to get autographs or photo ops, you got to pay with these celebrities. If you were to shell out bucks for one autograph, okay, I'll run off the wrestlers, and you could pick one that you would pay to get. Who would it be?
Trish.
Ric Flair, Hardy Boys, Trish or Lita, Carlito, Hacksaw, Jim Duggan, APA, or Tugboat. Trish,
yeah.
That's close. Trish
or Lita. Definitely not Ric Flair. Ric Flair, if it was 10 years ago, but
I'm good with him.
I'm good with him. But I would definitely say Trish. Trish would be,
All right, I completely...
Satisfaction.
Completely agree with you. One other thing I got to plug too real quick. Mafia Con 2 is coming again. Date set, it is Saturday, July 19th. It's at Seneca 1 on 1 Seneca Street. Live podcast, vendors, food, media personalities, exclusive items.
Content bros.
More on that in a second. Autographs for Bills. You got to get a ticket to get in, so it's a ticketed event, and then you get additional tickets if you want to get an autograph. The whole rookie class, pretty much, for the Buffalo Bills is going to be available to get to sign your stuff. Max Hairston, Sanders, Landon Jackson, Walker, Strong, Jordan Hancock, plus Cole Bishop and Ray Davis are going to be there. www.buffalomafiacon.com. I will be there doing a live show. I don't know if Tim Graham knows this yet, but I'm going to try to get Tim again. I had him there last year. Last year it was an outside venue, and it was like 90,000 degrees out. Honestly, it was uncomfortable. It was too hot. This year's going to be indoors. Air conditioning is going to be much
Where's the location again?
1 Seneca. Like that 1 Seneca Tower, like kind of like sort of.
Oh, downtown. Well, yes, the tower, the Philadelphia Tower. Gotcha.
Yeah. So that'll be fun. Like, there will be content bros there. There's gonna be a bunch of podcasts, like
7
or 8.
Oh God, you're gonna have
the
big. you're not even going to be able to sleep the night before. You're going to be like, oh my God, I get to see the Podfather Marino. Oh.
No, he won't be there.
Are you sure? You can see Joe Miller, John Fina, Jerry Ostrowski,
the Cover One Bros,
the 75 Cover One Bros.
There's a handful of other ones. Like I said, Bills players will be there. They'll be signing shit. Media personalities. I'm not sure what that entails at this.
Are they going to be filming something for the Hallmark movie, or that wrapped? Didn't it finally?
Yeah, that did wrap, man.
Were you jealous that you weren't in that movie? Are you jealous?
Little bit.
You really wanted to go. You kept updating me on who was going everywhere, and I was like, great, I don't care.
A little bit of envy from me. I'm not going to lie. There's a little bit of envy.
You could have asked. I mean, I'm sure some of the Bills are Grand people and the Bills Beat Bros, they asked to probably be a part of that. I don't think the casting the casting director was like, oh yeah, I gotta get this guy on here.
It was kind of funny seeing Matt Perino and Ryan Talbot wearing Bills gear for they were extras in the dude. They were acting. All right, they're supposed to be fans at Bar-Bill. I don't even know what the scene entailed, but it was everybody had Buffalo Bills gear on. And look, the movie's going to be whack. Everybody knows that.
That's going to be. I don't know if everyone knows that.
I think they do. But it'll be fun.
I don't know about that.
It'll be fun seeing everybody, a lot of people that getting these little. Would you not want to have your face, even if it was for a 2-second shot, to show your boy someday? Hey, man, look, Daddy was in. Daddy's in this movie. Watch this.
I work behind the scenes. I have over 100 credits on TV shows. I have my son watch the credits and go, "There's your dad's. He casted this or booked it. We're good." No, I don't want to be on camera.
James Cook last week reported for camp to the Bills. Look, I am a mountain of bad takes and predictions. I will be the first to admit it, and I sometimes, often actually, have fun calling myself out. I'll call you out because a week ago on this podcast, your prediction was, and I'll give you, again, you got a lot of credit. Like when the Bills' schedule came out, you nailed a couple things. We gave you some props for that. You said last week on this show, your prediction at the time was James Cook won't play until week 8. We saw James Cook report to minicamp.
It's still in the process. They haven't played games yet. Come on, man.
That's true. All right, but for now, anyway, James Cook showed up on Tuesday. Not only did he show up, but he participated fully all 3 days. Said in the press conference after the first day that he was going to be at camp. How surprised are you by this news?
Well, look, first I did reverse psychology. I said that because it was gonna like the gods would say, okay, he's gonna come. That's why. Wink, wink. I was pretty surprised. I mean, I think everyone was surprised about it. I don't think anyone had him, coming to OTAs on their OTA bingo board. But I was shocked, and It's good, testament to him, like, hey, good for you. You're coming here. Like, as a Bills fan, I think, you want him to be there. You want him to play, blah, blah, blah. As a negotiator, I don't know if that's, like, the best way to get paid in a way. But, you maybe should have played a little bit harder to get, but I don't know. I saw some of the interview, like, he had that awesome quote where like, they asked him, like, why are you here? That they need to put that on a t-shirt. 26 shirts needs to put that on a t-shirt. Like, forget Josh Allen's God bless, be good, go Bills, or whatever the hell that slogan is. Put that on a t-shirt. I'll buy that. But yeah, him doing that, hey, as a fan, great. I don't know how much, like, I keep thinking to myself, like, how could James Cook, like, last week I had said, like, the reason why I had the epiphany of he's not coming to camp, aside from, actually, I'm going all over the place a little bit, but I want to go back to Adam Schefter's story. I mean, that is what made me decide to make a proclamation. He's not coming, because at that point, I was like, he's going to hold out. He'll come eventually, and he's going to want to get a ton of money, or he's going to wait till the end. And then, like, Schefter blew a bomb up, and Schefter was wrong. And I'm like, who the hell told Schefter this? Because Schefter doesn't really get stuff wrong. I mean, he's the man. He's the reason why a lot of the Bills beat bros don't freaking call sources or cultivate sources, because he's going to break it anyway. At least that's what they'll tell you off the record. But I'm like, who told him this? And I'm just like, well, on one hand, it's like, was his agent? I remember Aaron Quinn pointed this out. Was his agent saying, hey, Like, I'm going to float this to you, Schefter, just to make the Bills panic. And then they'll start like, oh no, he's not going to come, or we got to come hard. And it's like, I thought about that. I was like, yeah, you're probably right. But then I thought, why would you drop that like 24 hours before? Like, are they going to get a deal done in 24 hours? Like, wouldn't you have dropped it like weeks ago, where the lead up would have been more pressure? Like, you would have done that weeks ago, I felt. Then the other part of me was like, well, maybe Brandon Beane did it, or someone from the Bills did it to make Cook look bad. Like, I'm not coming, and then like he loses favoritism between, the fans. Or maybe, I'd love to ask an agent, like, do you consider fan pressure, or like how the fans feel? Like, do you care about that? Like, you want public pressure or whatever? Like do you care about like having Bill's Twitter angry at him or for that? You know what I mean? And that's to me like the big mystery, like coming out of that whole thing. Like, how the hell did he get that wrong? Because he doesn't get shit wrong ever.
Well, the one thing that is obvious is, well, two things. One, the Bills are a better offense when James Cook is on the field than when he's not. That we've already talked about that, and I don't know how somebody could even have an opposite take on that. The Bills are better with James Cook than they are without him, straight up. The other thing is, James Cook is not going to get paid if he doesn't go out and have a great season. So he does have all the motivation for playing, and I've used the Hassan Reddick thing as something that scares me. The holding in or holding out, like you said, he played weekend or whatever, and he mailed it in for the Jets, but he still got paid. The whole thing, and Matt Warren, I'll give him credit for pointing this out, was a lot of these guys like Trey Hendrickson there, TJ Watt, these guys that are skipping minicamp, these guys that have held in or whatever, these are guys that are already rich. These are guys on their second contracts that have tens of millions of dollars to their name. James Cook's only been in the league, what's this going in year 4? He's made a couple $1 million. He's scheduled to make $5 million this year. He only made about $2 million last year. So, he doesn't got the money to withstand potentially several $100,000 worth of fines.
Well, I mentioned this last week, and I'm going to mention it again. He is coming from a football family, okay? I think he could borrow money if he had to from his brother.
I'm not saying dude's broke.
Okay, but you're giving reasons why he doesn't want to come, or he doesn't want to get the fine.
Said it. I like my money.
Okay, you're right. Okay, take that back. My bad. But what about the Schefter thing? I mean, I gave you a whole Schefter thing, and you didn't give a shit about it because you just want to get your own shit in as always. But how do you feel about the Schefter thing? Because I found that very interesting. Like, he got that wrong. Like, what do you think happened? What do you think?
I think you're right, and I think it's important for you to point that out because it's easy to say, oh, the Bills bro beats and, the content bros and all this. Oh, we're talking about James Cook. It was never going to not. It was all bullshit all along. This is Adam Schefter, the most respected insider in the industry, that was saying that James Cook ain't going to be around for quite some time. So, it's surprising. I'm very surprised that Adam Schefter was wrong.
Who do you think leaked it? Like, who do you think it was an agent? Like, where do you like? I
don't like being a conspiracy theorist, but I do think that what you said about maybe somebody from the Bills getting in his ear would put pressure on Cook to show up. I don't know that. I'm purely speculating, of course. My guess would be, if I had to guess, it came from, usually it's the agent, though. Usually the agent's that's why they get to an insider, not an NFL team official or something like that.
It's so weird. Like I said, it was just odd because if it was an agent, you would drop it. I would say you drop it a couple weeks ago. You don't do it like 2 days before to be like, oh, hey, because like what? Brandon Beane's going to get a deal done? Oh, shit. Like, got to get a deal done? You would, I don't know, you would build it up a little bit, and it would be like, quote unquote, a distraction. I don't know. It was just weird. Like, the whole time
it is really
it is weird. He doesn't get shit wrong, and that's the thing. He doesn't.
There was zero indication that James Cook was going to be there and participate. And it's funny because now in hindsight, a woman tweeted at me on Sunday night before camp started on Tuesday. James Cook's on. She was flying from LaGuardia to Buffalo, and James Cook was on her flight. He's on his way back to Buffalo. I'm like, All right, well, maybe he's just got some business to handle. Who knows? You know what I mean? I still think.
I saw that. Real quick, I saw that because it was. What was it like? That was Sunday night that tweak happened.
Sunday night. Yep. Yeah,
I remember because we had just wrapped our podcast, and I'm like, yeah, I'm feeling good about myself. I'm like, hot take. He's not coming back to 8 weeks, and I see that thing. I'm like, oh, I'm like, he's coming back. For like, great take, dickhead.
My expectation was that he would report and then not do anything. Like he would have a tweaked hamstring or something like that.
Sure.
That was what I thought. So clearly that's not going to be a strategy now, which is good.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens between now and then, and if he goes home, etc. That could happen. But I'll be, in terms of doing this podcast with you, I'm kind of glad that there's a little bit of cold water on it now. Because I was so sick and tired of talking about James Cook. I'm done talking about it. It was
going to be the story. Like HBO Hard Knocks, the timing of it all, I'm like, fuck, man, this is going to be a big distraction. I instantly started thinking, like, once I was like, all right, cool, he's there. What's going to be the big story now that HBO is going to follow for summer? It's not going to
They're still going to follow it because he's going to be like, I'm playing for a contract. It just won't be, as it seems now, dramatic. Now, he did kind of go... didn't he go back and forth? Like, I'm going to come to training camp, but I don't know. Then he got asked that later.
No.
I was like, I thought he was. I thought he kind of made it to where he might.
He's going to be at camp, and, he said about the money, but he also said he's a leader on this team and his goals. Okay.
I thought he kind of said yes, and then he kind of took it back a little bit later, but whatever.
No.
The point I'm trying to make is I hate talking about the Bills between now and training camp. I'm sick of it. We're in the Marge Simpson redoing the dress stage, so I'm kind of happy that's... We don't have to talk about it every week, possibly. Yeah. But who knows? He might tweet something out. I know. You don't agree. You love talking about James Cook. You talked about it in every podcast. You loved it.
Because it's been news every podcast.
I guess.
So it will be to an extent. You're right.
But hey, look, credit to him. I mean, in terms of credit to him because it takes a lot to do that. And I don't want to pay for running backs. I've said that before. I feel bad for running backs. I really do. Like they just are getting the short end of the stick. I think they don't get a lot of respect from teams, fans, myself included, in terms of paying it. And I think the biggest thing is, heading into if everything stays the path. Let me ask you this: if everything stays the path and he starts day one, like he's playing, what numbers do you want him in a mystery world to get to where you would say, you know what, I'm going to give this guy $15 million? What in your mind, your fantasy mind, like, is it about his numbers, how far the Bills go? Like, where do you have it in your mind? Like, does he have to get to 1,600 yards? Like, does he have to average 100 yards per game? Like, he's got to get to 1,700 yards. Like, what would make you go, all right, give this? Because, everyone's going to be impulsive. He's gonna pay Cook will be a hashtag. I bet if he has starts having some big ass games. Like, what is the number for you that you'll be like, you know what, give him his $15 million?
Before answering that, I want to point out something that you said that I think is worthy of repeating because I agree fully, and that's James Cook. Whether it's I just thought of something in my mind. You know how I use the word Cam Newton all the time? If James Cook did something wrong, I would say James Crook.
Oh, look, you're such a dad joke dork.
Anyway, with James Cook report, James Cook deserves a lot of credit for reporting, whether it's selfish reasons, unselfish, whatever the motivation may be, the fact that he could have been a big distraction and it looks like he's not going to be, that is great for him. It's a great look for him. It's a great look for the organization. So that's important to point out. I agree. He deserves credit, and let's give him that. In terms of what he would need to do, he's not going to get 1,600 yards because he's not going to play enough snaps. The one thing you cannot, although I know you think it doesn't matter, your boy cannot pass block, all right? He is not going to play 70. He's not going to play 75% of the snaps, dude. He can't pass block. He is literally a liability at it. He's awful at pass blocking, and it's not going to get better. It might get marginally better. So him being on the field enough to get 1,600 yards, that shit is not going to happen.
Okay, way to avoid the question. Obviously, you're saying, I get what you're saying. Like, he's not going to get that.
10 to 15% more than what he did last year. That's what I'd say.
What the fuck's 10 for 15%? I'm not math potential. What is that?
He ran for 1,000 yards. Let's say 1,150 yards. 1,150.
What? Wait a minute. Hold on. If he gets 1,150 yards, you think they should pay him $15 million? You want 150 yards more? Dude, if he had played in the final game, he would have gotten that. Think about I know let me say a couple things and think of the number while I know you don't listen to me when I'm talking, but think of the number while you're not listening. I was listening to the Podfather, Joe Marino's podcast, and I found this very interesting stat that he had mentioned. He said that the Bills, when it comes to pass blocking by running backs, the Bills have only had a running back in last year to pass block 48 times. That's it. And like Cook had 11 times, I think he had it. Davis had 11 times, and Ty Johnson had like 22 or something like that. That's it. 48 times for a running back to sit in the backfield to pass block. That doesn't seem like a lot, dude. That's like that's less than 2. That's less than 3 a game. So like I get like being all like, oh my god, like the pass blocking thing. Oh, look what happened in the playoff game. I get that, but dude, they don't do that a lot. You have to like. I think some people may, and I was blown away by that stat. So props to the Podfather. I'll pander to him a little bit, but like less than 3 a game. I'm not like sitting there going, "Oh my god, let's not pay him because he had."
Have you heard the Podfather's response to people who say, "Well, James Cook, I can't believe he didn't touch the ball in the last series of the game."
Yes, he had the one.
Will tell you. You know what Joe will tell you?
Okay,
he did come out there. He was out there at the start. He missed a block. He was pass blocking. He whiffed it. He did not come back.
But the point is, it's only happened 48 times or 51 or whatever the fuck the number was. It's not a lot, dude. So let's not act like he's back there. Oh, he has to pick up the blitz every down. That's what people are probably thinking. That's what I would think, because I don't remember the fuck pass blocks.
Look,
anyway,
if it's based on numbers, it's not going to happen. That's what I'm telling you. He was tied for 27th among running backs in touches per game. Everybody eats with the receivers. It also goes with the running the ball. It goes with everything. He's not going to play 80% of the snaps. It's not happening.
I get what you're saying. So what would you want?
Yards rush. If he could get 1,200 yards rushing, if he plays 10% more, and he gets 1,200 rushing yards, maybe 450 receiving yards. Keeps up I don't care about the touchdowns as much, because who cares how the touchdowns come? Josh Allen could take a lot of them. Who the hell knows? Or Ray Davis might get some more looks inside the 5 this year. I don't really care about the touchdowns, but if his total yards goes up to about 1,200 rushing, 400 or so receiving, I'm probably going to give him $15 million a year, or at least I'm going to structure it so it looks that way. And, you can have void years and all that other shit.
He's got to give me 1,500 yards in total offense. He ain't going to do it. Okay, I know, but I'm talking about 15 fucking... Okay, the only way I'm paying him $15 million, for God's sakes, I know you don't like when I bang the fucking table, but I have to, and I have to swear too, because you're annoying me. Yes, Pat, I get it. If he's not going to get it. Maybe he's going to yell at them and tell them that. I get it. But for me... Yes, his snaps have to increase, and in order to get more yards, his snaps do have to increase. Now, keep in mind with his snap percentage, he did miss a game last year, so that does kind of snap his total down. He also didn't play in that New England game all that much, aside getting breaking OJ's record or what the hell he did. So, yeah, I think the percentage can go up a little bit, but for me, because you've been avoiding the question or being weird about it, I think, yes, 15. You have to get the 1,600 yards. You have to average 100 yards in total offense a game, at least, for me to give you $15 million. Okay, 1,200 yards, you're an idiot. I think you're going to regret that take, by the way. And by the way, real quick, shout out to Ralph Wilson Sr. In the chat, one of my favorite owners of all time. Cook was asked if he would be a full participant at camp, and he said, "We'll see." So I was right. He said, "We'll see." So thank you. I mean, at least someone's listening to people on the show.
Good, because then we could talk about them every episode like we are.
No, we're not. We don't have to yet. We don't have to yet. Fuck the Cook. I don't want to talk about the Cook.
Here's the last thing I want to say about James Cook. Here's what I do feel confident in. I feel confident in that he's not getting a contract extension, because I don't think they're going to come to an agreement on what Cook wants and what the Bills are going to pay him. I think best case scenario, he goes and he balls out this year, and he goes and gets a really nice contract from somebody else this offseason. Goes to the highest bidder. That's how I see this season playing out. Let's rewind this a little bit here before we get into our finishing segments. I put this on Twitter. I want to know what your take is. Who's the third best Bills quarterback ever in the history of the franchise, not counting Jim Kelly or Josh Allen? You could put Jim first or Josh first, but they're 1, 2 in some order. That's not debatable. But what is debatable is who you think would be third. So I'm going to ask you that. If people are listening or watching, want to chime in, you're more than welcome to as well. What do you think, though? I got one. It's not easy.
I would have to probably go with it. Probably has to be Joe Ferguson. He's on the freaking wall of fame, so it's him. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I was, I did no research as always. I didn't Google his stats, but like he's on the wall of fame. Yeah. Oh, you did? Thank God. Okay, so I would say it's him. Second, I would say it's probably Jack Kemp. Yeah, it's Kemp. He's up there. He's on the wall of fame too. So it's those two. Like, pick a number, I guess. Between it's them three.
I think it'd be a good debate if you're talking. All right. So if you're talking stats, then it would definitely be Fergie. 27,500. He's second all time in passing yards in the history of the franchise. Although Josh is going to pass him this year for sure, as long as Josh plays. He's third in touchdown passes for his career, and he's played in more games than any quarterback ever in the franchise's history. 164. So statistically, he's there. He's been there. He was there the longest. He played the most games. Second most passing yards, third most touchdowns. Jack Kemp played 7 years with the Bills, and his stats suck, man. Terrible. Listen to this. 46.4% completion percentage. He didn't even complete half his passes. He only had 77 touchdown passes in 88 games. 132 interceptions. He threw 77 touchdowns and 132 interceptions. Statistically, this dude sucked, man, but he made All-Pro twice. He made the Pro Bowl 5 times, and most importantly, he was the quarterback for their 2 AFL championships, the only 2 championships the Bills have ever won. So it's got to be Jack Kemp, right? I mean, throw the completion percentage, but that touchdown to interception, are you kidding me? 77 to 132? Well, yeah, it was All-Pro.
It was a different era. You didn't throw the ball all that much, and so obviously he didn't have to do. Well, his numbers are not going to be great, obviously, in comparison to today. But he did win those titles. He's on the Wall of Fame, so I'm gonna. It's probably a good question to ask. What's your boy Sal Mariano? He might know since he's a historian, or if Andy Provone's in here, he could tell us too. Yeah, it's hard to talk. I mean, it's really about what your era was. Like, obviously, if you take any guy from the 70s, like if you look at like Terry Bradshaw's numbers, they don't look good. But if you look at where he was with his peers, they look good. Like in comparison to looking at. I get so
the lack of throwing the ball, the lack of yards, lack of touchdowns. I get that, but at the end of the day, 77 touchdowns and 132 interceptions. So in an era when they didn't throw the ball that much, he still threw almost 50 more interceptions than he did touchdowns. But like you said, he's on the Wall of Fame, and he won 2 championships, and he was a 2-time All-Pro. So it's got to be Jack Kemp. It's not Drew Bledsoe. I mean, he was good. He was there for 3 years. He was good for about half of them. Flutie was fun for a minute. He saved the Bills too, by the way. With the
that's that story. Yeah.
Fitz was fun, but he bombed out, and Tyrod let him out of the drought, but he's not on that list. He's statistically he's just not there. It's got to be Jack Kemp, man.
Somebody said
Cardell Jones in the live chat. Jones.
God, Cardell Jones. What about Frank Wright? Do you put anything on him in terms of being the third? Like, he had 2 biggest regular like 2 of the biggest wins in franchise history are done by him. I was
going to say you could laugh at that because he barely even started at all, but he literally is the reason why the Bills went to a Super Bowl. The Bills don't go to a Super Bowl without Frank Reich. So again, you could at least make a case. I'll tell you this: I would put Frank Reich ahead of Tyrod Taylor and Fitzpatrick and Drew Bledsoe for sure. Maybe not Flutie.
I wouldn't put him ahead of Bledsoe. I mean, just the body work's just not good enough. I mean, look, it's like 5 great games he had like in his career here. That's
Kelly
it.
Holcomb. We should have had a Mount Flushmore of worst quarterbacks ever.
I'm definitely doing that next week. Definitely going to do worst quarterbacks that I've seen. But yeah, if we're talking like what we have seen, let's just say like, because look, no one's gonna like half the people aren't gonna fucking remember Ferguson or Kemp.
I do. Not Kemp. Ferguson. I do.
Ferguson, you barely remember. I know, but if we're doing like post Jim Kelly, that's what it is. Like, so we're doing 95 up. Who's your best quarterback you're gonna take?
I probably
outside of Josh.
I probably would say Doug Flutie because on the field he was magical for a moment. Just like Fitz was magical for a moment, and Drew was really hot in 2002. But again, the Bills needed to sell seats, those stadium seats, or they might have moved, and he helped sell those seats because he was an exciting player. And fans liked him and wanted to see him. Probably Flutie.
I would agree with that. I mean, he was really good in 98. He tailed off in 99. Like his arm got tired. 2000, he was like, that was when like the Flutie Johnson thing would just hit a freaking wall and we were all suffering. But like he had a good year that year when he played, and like he started like I think like 4 straight weeks and he was really good. And but Flutie in that whole time frame, it was a byproduct of like, in a way, you know how when Josh Allen first started and like his fans were all fucking annoying, like the Allenites, they were just so annoying and you just couldn't stand them anymore for a while. That's kind of how like Flutie fans were a little bit. Like you just couldn't stand them. Like they just thought he was like the greatest thing since sliced bread, and you were just like, enough already. Like shut up. And then they felt the same way about the Rob Johnson people, kind of in a way. But it was definitely one of those like. I don't know. I felt like it was a very bad mix with the fans too at that time, because there was Flutie Johnson, and it was just like his fans were crazy. Flutie's fans were like very crazy about him, and in some cases, sure, but he was. I kind of go with that, but I'll go with Flutie.
Let's get. We've been talking about the Mount Flushmore. This is Father's Day, so in honor of Father's Day, you want to do a Mount Flushmore of the worst dads in the world?
Yes. Where's my flush soundbite too? Where's my flush graphic and all that? Where happened to that?
I gotta make it at some point. I gotta make the. I gotta bring back that. I gotta bring back that animated graphic. But anyway,
I should bring the toilet back. You can't even. do that.
I gotta bring the toilet back.
Such a hack.
I gotta get that off StreamYard somehow. I gotta figure that out. But anyway, these are the worst dads, and I told you they could be fictional or they could be non-fictional, whatever you wanted. But the Mount Flushmore of worst fathers, and don't put me on that list.
I don't know anything about. I mean, I know you have a daughter, but you never. I don't know her name because you never mentioned her. So no, I'm kidding.
Oh my God, you better hope she ain't watching this shit, dude.
But that's your fault that she does, because you never mentioned her name. I mean, dude, it's okay, fine. I digress. Shout out to Mrs. Moran or Miss Moran.
Madison.
Oh, that's a nice name. That's a good name, Madison.
Yes, very nice name.
After one of my favorite movies, Splash, great movie. Madison was the fish, if you remember.
Oh, yeah, with Tom Hanks.
Yes, great movie. Dara Hannah, Eugene Levy, John Candy. Awesome movie. Cult classic. Okay, so this is like real and movie scripted, like in terms of the dads. So they could be real dads or scripted dads, all these kind of dads. So worst dads. Okay, first off, he's a fucking deadbeat. He's a deadbeat dad. Rey Mysterio. He did Dominic wrong. He did Dominic wrong, and I know Michael Parthen agrees with me probably, but he did Dominic wrong. I mean, this guy went out, was wrestling across the country, wasn't home for his son. Eddie Guerrero ended up being his dad, kind of in a way. And like, look at Dom now; he's a mess because of his dad. So Rey Mysterio, number one. Rey Mysterio, you're bad.
I love
yeah, he's on there. You're gonna love this one too, probably. Second one, real life, Donald Trump. I mean, I'm sorry, like
I knew that was coming.
His kids are fucking terrible. Don Jr.'s coked out of his mind. Eric looks like Eddie Munster with a hair dye. Barron, I think, is a dumbass too, or he's like 17 feet tall. Screw him. Then there's Tiffany. I don't know what she does, and then Ivanka was kind of hot back in the day. Those kids are terrible. I mean, and also Don sucks. I mean, I won't get into politics too much, but I could. But like, he banged Stormy Daniels because his wife was pregnant. Like, come on. Like he's a terrible dad. Like he needs to go. And yeah, worst dad, worst president, worst everything. Sorry, shout out to all our Republican friends in there. But yes, no, yeah, worst dad is definitely Trump. Put him at giant.
I knew that one was coming. All right, what else you got?
Okay. Third, I'm going to go with. It's gotta go with I'm like a big Game of Thrones fan. You gotta go with Tywin Lannister. Like here he is. He had his three kids: Tyrion, Cersei, Jaime. You got kids having sex with each other. Yeah, not good. He hated his son and like he sentenced him to death. He made like Cersei marry off to these other people. He was just an all around dick. There was no redeeming quality about him. He was just a prick, a dickhead. Like, Charles Dance was the actor, but like Tywin just like made that whole thing a disaster. He deserved, and look, his son killed him, and his son deserved to kill him. He died on the shitter. So, so yeah, so I have to go with him. So we got Ray, Yes, we got Ray, Mysterio, Trump, and your boy. Yeah, yes. Fourth one, I'm going to go with. This is a tough one. I'm going to go with. You got to go with Tony Soprano. I mean, here's a guy. Yeah, here's a guy who cheated on Carmelo multiple times, like 1,000 times. He slapped AJ around, made AJ go to military school, didn't like meadow dating a black guy. Who knows how many kids he has around the world right now in the Sopranos land. But he was a terrible dad. Like, how can you justify him as a dad? He was pretty bad. Okay, his daughter hated him, I think, and and his son was an idiot. Like, come on, he just pretty terrible. Oh, shout out to Hillslayer and the thing. He's got Elon Musk in there. I would put Elon Musk in there too. I forgot. Yes, he's definitely a terrible dad. That schmuck.
Let me do this instead of I really don't have much to add. Those were all four were funny, and I knew at least one or two of them were coming. I want to pull up a comment real quick. It's kind of a bonus, unexpected one. Maybe we'll deep dive into this later on, but for today, just real quick, off the top of your head, Michael Partham put a question in the chat, said, request, what is your Mount Flushmore of off-season content? It's a good one because you ate a lot of shit.
Oh, it's a lot. I mean, I have
come up with all four.
I have to figure out
how candidates.
I mean, I have to figure out some No, I'm not gonna do that yet. No. I'm gonna save that for later because I got to think about what the context is. Like, are we talking like what do these people eat? Chicken wings? Like looking into what they did. I got to really think that out. Like I have to think that out.
All right, that's fair. Let's do. We'll finish up with our true and false segment. I'm going to ask you some questions. A couple Bills Sabres, one Sabres, a few other things as well. True or false? Mike White will beat out Mitch Trubisky for quarterback 2. He will end up being the backup quarterback to Josh Allen come week 1. Mike White makes the team. Mitch Trubisky does not. True or false?
False. They want Josh Allen's besties as his backup, his caddy buddies, and Trubisky's that guy. So, yeah, that's what he wants. It's going to be Trubisky.
Live chat, a couple of people are saying true.
Okay.
I don't know that he's going to. I do think it's going to be. I do think it's going to be an open competition. I do think Mike White is going to have a real opportunity to. I think he's got a better arm than Mitch. Mitch is a little bit better at scrambling. It's Josh's boy too.
I would put backup quarterback up there on Mount Flushmore for offseason content because I don't give a shit. Okay, if Josh goes down, the season's over. Yeah, anyways, yes. But I think Trubisky's going to stay here. They brought him back twice. I mean, come on. They're going to bring him back. They love that dude. So,
all right, next one here. Von Miller will be on an NFL roster in week 1.
Ooh. I'm going to say false. I feel like he's going to be like the Lavelle Joseph of he's going to come in October or something like that. Be an assassin.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what I'm going to say false on that. But I could be wrong. He could want to come in and wait till the end of training camp, then he signs with someone. So I'm going to say false. He will not be on a roster week 1.
Okay. A little bit of a tease because tomorrow on the show I'm going to have Chad DiDomenicis on, and we're going to have a nice discussion. There's a lot of shit going on with the Buffalo Sabres right now. A lot of trade rumors involving a couple players, including J.J. Peterka, who reportedly is not very happy with Buffalo. He's a restricted free agent right now, so if somebody even tried to sign him to an offer sheet, the Sabres probably would match, but trade wins, like I said, are in the air. So true or false, J.J. Peterka will be a Buffalo Sabre on opening night?
False.
False. All right, so you think he's...
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like he's not going to... I feel like Lindy hates him. I don't know why. I mean, this is just me pulling out my ass, but I think Lindy hates him. And they're going to be like, yeah, you know what? Let's give Alex Tuck, because he loves Albany and Buffalo, a lot of money, and they'll justify it that way. Real quick, and then I want to ask this. Mike, I am... And Michael Partham will definitely understand this joke, and so will you. I am so over the Sabres and the Bills bullshit synergy. I saw them tweet out something that, I don't know, the new GM, whatever the hell the de facto GM guy is from Columbus, was at Bills OTA camp, and they're like, oh, look, he's at OTAs. I'm like, enough of this. Like, oh my God, like here's like this like a Sabres guy at OTAs or training camp. Like, we get all this the Sabres celebrities of the GM or the coach or the captain. Like can you imagine if Josh Allen showed up at like at the prospect challenge in July? Like, that will never happen. It feels so much, and this is where my Parthon examples, make sense. It's like Jimmy Hart and Hulk Hogan in like the early 90s, when like Hulk Hogan was a good guy and they made Jimmy Hart a good guy, and they both came out at the same time. And you're like, why are these two together? Like, this doesn't make sense. Why is this a thing? And it was just like, it just took the flair off of it. Like, the Sabres are the good version of Jimmy Hart, and the Bills are like Hulk Hogan right now in like early 90s. And they're like trying to put them together. It doesn't work. Like, stop with the synergy bullshit. It sucks. No one likes it anymore. It sounded cute a decade ago, but because your team's in the toilet and you don't work as a face, like Jimmy Hart never worked as a face when it came to being a referee. It just doesn't work. Why is there now a thing on here? What is this?
On purpose. This is, so you mentioned the Sabres and the synergy and just the Bills and just the general unpopularity of this team at this point. I'm trying to get this where everybody could see it on the video side. They're putting out tweets right now that dude, I lost it. I don't know what the hell I'm doing here. I got to find it again. I don't know what I'm doing. Actually, I'm going to get rid of it. But basically, all right, so I don't want to screw up the video. They put out a tweet on Father's Day, and it says the perfect Father Day's gift, and it's make memories with Dad, and it's them at a Sabres game. Do you think there gets to a point where the social media people are almost trolling fans? Like, do you think that they know, they have to know, they got to read the mentions? You can't not read the mentions, man. They got to know what people are going to say, and they're putting that shit out. Do you almost feel like it's trolling at this point? Like, why would you put something out there? Who the hell is going to buy a Sabres ticket package for Father's Day? Come on, man.
I mean, look, what are you? They're trying to sell seats, and the way you sell seats, like, you have to put it on social media and all that shit. But like, yeah, it's just, I doubt they look at their mentions. I'm sure Kevin Adams probably tells everyone, don't look at your mentions, because from what I've heard, he loves to put the propaganda machine up there and be like, don't say anything negative about anything. So he probably tells them, don't read the mentions or anything like that. But the social media person just tweets it and just probably leaves and like turns his notifications off. That's what I would do. Just turn your notifications off.
There's legitimately some tweets that the Sabres have put out where I can legitimately just read off the comments and have an entertaining entire podcast when doing nothing but reading fan comments in response to what they put out. All right, last one here. True or false, CM Punk wins the title from John Cena at Night of Champions in Arabia.
That's false. That's false. They're not changing the title in Saudi Arabia.
You don't think so?
No. I don't know what's going on with that. Like, he said he wasn't going to go, and I didn't watch Friday's show yet. Like he said before, he wasn't going to go to Saudi Arabia, but he said that when he was like, he hated them, and now he's and it's fine. Look, whatever. He's getting millions and millions of dollars. I give him credit. He was at the No Kings protest in Chicago, so shout out to him. On Saturday, but no, they're not going to do that there. I do think. I told you, I think Cena's holding this until like the very, very end, and Cody's going to take it back from him. That's what I think.
Who's going to take it? I don't agree with to the very end. No, I think Cody's going to win King of the Ring, and then I think he's going to beat Cena at SummerSlam, which will set up the last handful of months of kind of like the Cena redemption arc, where he'll fight some bad guys and get over as a face before he's done. Although he's kind of a face now, dude. People don't want to cheer or boo him. I like him now more than I ever have.
I like him as a heel. Like I said, I get like it's a bit muddled. Yeah, me too. I just like heel. I get it's a bit muddled, but I've told you this before. I told you this a couple, like the booking in WWE right now. It just feels like we just went through like the 2020 Bills like ride, and then it's like it's 2021 now, where it's like everyone's kind of being a little bit more nitpicky about it and not being as patient, but. It's fine. It is what it is. I'm good with it.
We're going to struggle here. We're done with tonight's show. We're going to struggle for the next couple weeks because you don't like training camp as it is, but at least when training camp starts, things happen. Injuries happen. Somebody might jump somebody on the depth chart.
They don't.
HBO, there'll be things.
The HBO thing will be good.
About. So there'll be stuff to talk about. But from now the minicamp's over and the James Cook was a big story. this past week. A couple of little developments from camp too, injury-wise and things like that. But what the hell are we going to do for the next 4 weeks?
No, we got stuff to talk. I got stuff. I told you I want to do like a topic where it's like one of us is like we pretend we're the commissioner of the sports league and we're just gonna riff our ideas. We got stuff. We can make up some shit. I mean, no one's gonna really listen. But we could talk politics too. That would be good times.
No, we're not going to talk politics.
Oh, come on now.
No, but anyway. All right, guys, that is going to do it for this episode. Thank you to everyone, especially people who watch us on the live side, video, 9 p.m.-ish. I'll say ish, not 9 p.m. on Sunday nights. We always appreciate you guys being part of the conversation. Of course, everyone who is listening to the show sometime, hopefully, on Monday. Shout out to sponsors, Imperial and Sunny Reds as well. Any party words here before we get out? We still got a couple hours of Father's Day left. You're gonna hit the sack. You're gonna stay up.
Yeah, I'm going to bed. I'm gonna go and play my video game on my phone, and that's it. So I'm good.
All right, guys. Thank you, Joe from Queens. I appreciate you guys. Chad D. Dominicis will be on, and we're gonna get into some JJ Paterka and other interesting things involving the Sabres on the show tomorrow.